I love going away on a trip for an extended period of time where it's just me. When I take these trips, I come back completely rejuvenated, and it seriously makes me a better mom. It makes me a better partner. It makes me a better coach. I know that taking care of you is what's going to make you a better mom. Hey, friends. Welcome back to the Divorce Revolution. I'm your host, Amber Shaw. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just got back from almost a week-long solo trip to the beach. Actually, side note, the house I stayed at actually belongs to my ex-husband and his partner. I know that may come as a shock or a surprise, right? Because I know that that's not a normal situation, but I am very grateful for the co-parenting situation that my ex-husband and I have worked very hard. And I want to underscore worked very hard. I continue to work very hard to create. But this episode is not about co-parenting. I actually want to talk about something a little different. And that is talking about why divorced moms need solo trips without the kids. And I have to tell you, like when I first got divorced and really like the first couple years post-divorce, even though I have always identified as such a independent and strong person, what I realized very quickly in my post-divorce life, especially the first couple years, is I actually really struggled with being alone. I really was not as fiercely independent as I thought I was. And I think that is normal. I was with my ex-husband for almost 15 years. You know, I had him around all the time and I had my kids around. I think I got this false perception of independence because my ex-husband traveled all the time. And so I was managing things by myself a lot. But I think what I wasn't taking into account was the emotional dependence that I had of just like being with somebody and knowing that somebody was there. And when I really started to look back at my life, I realized that I'm a serial monogamist. Like, I'm not afraid to say it. Like I am. That's just how I'm wired. It's how I do it. I have been. Okay. I have been in the past. And I've always been in a relationship. I don't necessarily go from one to the next, but like I kind of did in my life. Right. And so in the moment, the first couple years post-divorce, it really kind of took me by surprise that I really struggled with being alone and how that showed up for me. It was working a lot because I didn't know really what to do with myself when I was alone without my kids. And obviously as a single mom, I was drinking too much for sure. I would get bored and open up a bottle of wine and Zoom my sisters or my mom or whatever, FaceTime them. And before I know it, I'm 4 glasses, sometimes 6 glasses deep of just because I'm at home. I mean, I'm by myself. I'm at home. I'm just, no harm, no foul. Right. And then I wake up the next day feeling shitty, all the things. But I just realized that I was really distracting and numbing for a lot of the time post-divorce because I didn't know how to be alone. And that was something I got to a point a few years post-divorce where I really had to look at that. I wasn't showing up for myself the way I wanted to show up. I wasn't taking as much, good care of myself because I was overworking, over drinking, over socializing, doing all of these things to just avoid being with myself and being with my feelings. And in that journey of really taking a look at that and in that journey of healing post-divorce, something incredible happened. And what that was is that I started to fall in love with being by myself. And what I noticed is that when I started to really, really be okay, like really be okay. In fact, not just be okay, but actually look forward to it, actually enjoy it, actually appreciate my alone time. Well, that's when everything changed for me. Number one, that's when I stopped dating men that didn't really align with who I wanted to be with and the kind of relationships I wanted to be in, right? Because basically I was less willing to put up with a bunch of bullshit when I was dating because I realized that I would be totally okay alone. And in fact, I really enjoy it. And I am at this point where I love being alone so much. And unless you really bring something fucking awesome to the table, I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. You are actually, it's a waste of my time. I would rather be by myself and filling my own cup up than be stuck in a relationship that doesn't fulfill me just because I don't want to be alone. And that right there was so incredibly powerful. And so along with this, that came with this journey of learning how to be alone came the gift of doing solo vacations for myself and with myself. Now, I got to tell you, I didn't start off by just all of a sudden going on a week long, solo trip by myself. I started small. I started with maybe just going to dinner by myself. And at first, I would bring a book, I'd be on my phone, I'd do all the things, right? And that's kind of like being on your own 1.0, I think. Then I really started intentionally not bringing a book, not being on my phone. And what I found was that opened me up energetically to having conversations with people. And I got to tell you, some of my most, memorable conversations and interesting conversations with people have been when I just got off my phone or stuck my nose out of my book and just looked up and looked around, right? I find that for me, when I go to restaurants, it's sitting at the bar that I usually can engage with people a little bit easier, right? But that was a big thing. So for me, I started off small, right? I started just going to dinner. Then I started going to the movies by myself. Then I started to take it up a notch, right? Maybe going on just an overnight trip by myself. And then now I'm to the point where I absolutely love going away on a trip for an extended period of time where it's just me. It is just me. I can't even tell you the feeling that you have, or at least that I have, literally waking up in the morning. And I can remember this. Like I said, I just got back from this beach trip and waking up in the morning and opening up my eyes and being like, you know what? I can do whatever the fuck I want today, actually. Whatever I want. As a mom who is constantly on the go, who is constantly having to multitask, and especially for me as a business owner who is constantly just doing things all the time, the most liberating feeling on the freaking planet is to literally say to yourself, I can do whatever the fuck I want today. I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have a schedule. I don't have to have a plan. I don't even have to leave the house if I don't want to. That right there, honestly, it is the feeling that I look forward to the most when I go away. And I got to tell you, when I take these trips, I come back completely rejuvenated, and it seriously makes me a better mom. It makes me a better partner. It makes me a coach, show up in my business better. And so if you are somebody who has been struggling maybe with some alone time, and maybe you've always wanted to do a solo trip, but you just either you are riddled with guilt, right? Or I'm feeling like you can't do it, or, you feel stuck or you feel trapped, or maybe you feel nervous or a little self-conscious, right? I just want you to know that's totally okay. But I do want to just talk it out for a second. Okay. I just want to talk it out for a second because I got to tell you, it is so freaking empowering. And that is the mission of this show, you guys, to not just move on from divorce, but move the hell up. And it is my goal for you. And I want you to get to a place where you are so radically comfortable with being by yourself that you don't need somebody else to fulfill you. You fulfill yourself. And I can tell you that when you operate from that standpoint, everything in your life will change. Everything in your life. So if you are somebody that is maybe struggling with a little bit of guilt or struggling with trying to prioritize taking the time, I can tell you some of the big, I think excuses or stories we can tell ourselves. One is, I can't leave my kids. Girl, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Okay. Listen, I know not everybody has the same situation. Okay. So I want to be sensitive to this. I know that there are a lot of single moms listening to this that don't even have a co-parent. So they're like, shit, Amber, I don't have a backup parent that I could just send my kids to. And I respect the hell out of you because I can imagine how unbelievably difficult that is. But I think that it can sometimes be a little bit of a crutch, or to say oh, well, I can't leave the kids. Nobody can take care of them. I'm the only one that can take care of them. If you are saying that to yourself, all I want to do is invite you to go a little bit deeper. And what I mean by that is, are you getting resourceful? Could you really, if you planned it enough in advance, do you have a brother or a sister or a best friend or a parent or somebody that you could ask? An aunt or an uncle, anybody that you could ask? Are you getting resourceful? And if you're still telling yourself no, is it really honestly that you're using this that nobody can take care of the kids as an excuse, right? Is there a deeper fear going on there? Does it feel really uncomfortable going on a vacation by yourself? Right? Or something like that. Does that feel uncomfortable to you? Are you worried that people will judge you if they see I know for me, for the longest time, I was like, man, I don't want to go out to eat. Someone's going to look at this freaking old maid at the bar and be like, man, what's wrong with her? Why is she by herself? What's up with her? You know what I mean? And now I've got to the point where I don't give a shit. Okay. I let that go. I don't care. Okay. I just want to invite you. If you are telling yourself the story that I can't leave my kids, and maybe that's your reality, and maybe that's true. And everybody's situation is different. I can't pretend to know your situation. All I'm asking you to do is just look a little deeper. Is that really what's going on? Or if you got resourceful, do you have some resources where like, even if you planned it far in advance, you could go do something? And it doesn't have to be some lavish vacation, right? It could literally be maybe renting just an Airbnb. Listen, what I will tell you this, I want to say one more thing about this solo trip. I highly recommend going on a solo trip where you're not going to meet up with friends, where you don't where you literally don't know anybody. Just literally go to a new place or a place where you're all by yourself, because that's really where you can wake up in the morning and be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I don't have to answer to no one, right? And it's amazing, right? So, okay, so that's the first one. If you're telling yourself, I can't leave my kids, girl, take a second look at that. Or can you leave your kids, right? Number 2, I don't have time. Ooh, girl. You know, if you've been listening to the show for a hot minute, the whole I don't have time. Listen, we put our energy towards what we prioritize. And so again, I'm not here to judge if you are saying, that you don't have time, right? All I'm inviting you to do is go a little deeper. You might not have 2 weeks that you can take off, but could you go on a weekend where it's not disrupting your work? Could you go maybe on a weekend like over the summer where you're not missing kids' activities? Again, all I'm asking you to do, because I just want you to be honest with yourself. Are you telling me that the 365 days of the year, that there is not like 2 days that you could go and get away for? Just like two, maybe 3. Maybe. And if the answer is no, Amber, I genuinely can't, then okay. Like all I'm asking you to do is get honest with yourself. That's it. So if you're saying I don't have time, get honest with yourself. Do you have the time, or are you just not making the time? Okay, so let's go there. The other one is, I think sometimes we can even if we don't say it out loud to ourselves, I think sometimes we can feel like it's selfish to go spend oh my gosh, I barely get to take my kids on vacations. If I'm going to take a vacation, I need to take my kids. Girl, let me tell you what. You know, and I know that taking care of you is what's going to make you a better mom. It's going to make you happier. It's going to make you more present, right? You and I both know that. So, if you are telling yourself any of these things, listen, I want you to get honest with yourself. I want you to get resourceful, and I want you to plan it like any other priority. So mark it on your calendar as a non-negotiable appointment. Start having the conversation with your kids. I'm very vocal with my kids on why I take solo trips. I'm like, listen, it's hard being a single mom. Okay. It's hard. It's hard doing this on your own. And sometimes mom needs to recharge. And that's why I'm going on a trip. Okay. So just definitely just plan it out. And then also, so you're not worried about your kids the whole time you're on vacation, because I don't want you to, doing that, being on the vacation. I'm not saying you can't talk to your kids on your trip. Of course you can. However, I want it to be you time. I want you to unplug. And so make sure you have a solid plan for childcare. Okay. Make sure you have a solid plan. So just a couple quick tips I just want to share with you guys. If you are thinking about planning a solo trip, number 1, pick a place that feels easy and exciting for you, right? Or just somewhere that feels safe and comfortable. Something that feels easy, something that feels safe, just something that you can relax and just take it easy. That would be my number 1 tip. Another tip is don't overplan. In fact, when I go on vacation, I don't even make dinner reservations. I literally want to wake up every day and say, I can do whatever I want. And literally I do whatever I want. What I always find, especially if you're traveling as a single person of one, you don't even need dinner reservations, because literally you can probably get into anywhere, at least sit at the bar. So I wouldn't even worry about that. So don't overplan, leave some space for spontaneity. There's something magical about literally being able to wake up and be like, what do I feel like doing today? Literally, when in your real life do you ever get to ask yourself, what do I feel like doing today? And then you actually get to do it. How about never? Right? Because we're constantly shuttling kids, we're working, we're doing all the things. Don't underestimate the power of spontaneity and literally the beauty of being able to ask yourself, what do I feel like doing today? And then actually doing it. It's freaking life-changing, you guys. Okay. Another tip is talk to strangers. Don't bring your book. Don't bring your phone. Talk to strangers. I'm a very spiritual person, and I will tell you this. It blows my effing mind how God always puts right next to me the person I was supposed to talk to that night. They drop some bucket of wisdom. They say something that resonates, something. Every single time, it's exactly who I was supposed to talk to. So get curious, ditch the phone, leave the book, talk to strangers. And the other thing is don't be afraid to document it for yourself. You don't have to be out there with your selfie stick, take it now if that's what you like to do that too. But you don't need to be out there taking pictures all the time unless you want, but take a journal and be reflective and really, really document this trip for yourself. All right, you guys, listen, if you are planning just a stress-free getaway, just a couple things though, as we wrap up, I want to say most important is pick your dates and get it on the calendar. Get it on the calendar, line up some solid childcare, okay? Pick where you're going to go, make it easy, make it comfortable. Maybe it's a beach, maybe it's like a little spa, maybe you want some adventure, maybe you're going to just go to New York and walk the streets for a few days. Like who knows? Maybe it's a cozy Airbnb in the mountains. Listen to what you want and plan something that's simple. Now, again, like I said, keep it simple, pack light, and also I think set some boundaries before you go. Let your work people know that you're going to be unplugging. Let your kids know that you're going to be unplugging a little bit. Let the people who are caring for your children know. Maybe you can even set certain times of the day that you have check-ins with your kids so that you feel secure while you're away and so they feel secure too. But the last thing I want to say is, girl, enjoy every damn moment. And if you take a solo trip, girl, I want you to take a picture. I want you to post it on Instagram and tag me, okay? Because I promise you, your first solo trip is going to be a game freaking changer. And you're going to be like, Amber, why the hell haven't I not been doing this my whole life? Yes, girl, I know. I ask myself the same question. So enjoy the moment, start planning, tag me on your trip, and I want to hear how it's going. So as I always say, you guys, until next time, remember, divorce is not the end. It's your fucking launch pad, girl. Let's go.